Nobody had ever reigned over such a huge territory and then died at such a young age. So his death and burial are among the most important events from anywhere in the ancient world. Perhaps more people have looked for the tomb and the body than have looked for just about any other so-called missing monument in Egypt.
Some historical mysteries cling to our curiosity, taunting us with their secrets. Questions like the fate of the Ark of the Covenant, the elusive identity of Jack the Ripper, and the hidden resting place of Cleopatra. These unanswered enigmas are what make history so tantalizing. Today, we dive into some of the most perplexing puzzles that might never be definitively solved. Let's start with one of the greatest enigmas. Where is Alexander the Great buried? By the age of 32, Alexander the Great had carved out a colossal empire stretching from the Balkans to Pakistan, becoming one of the most formidable rulers of the ancient world. But in 323 BC, his reign ended abruptly when he succumbed to an illness in Babylon. His vast empire, a marvel of its time, crumbled swiftly. Historical accounts suggest one of his loyal generals transported his body to ancient Egypt 2 years later, where it was temporarily housed in Memphis as a grand tomb was constructed in Alexandria. Yet the location of this legendary tomb remains a tantalizing mystery. Some believe it now lies beneath the sea, lost in the palaces district of Alexandria, submerged and battered by centuries of human activity and natural disasters. Experts hint that if the tomb were discovered today, it might offer few clues to confirm it as Alexander's final resting place. The ancient chroniclers who recorded its construction left behind scant descriptions, meaning researchers would need an undisturbed inscription to conclusively identify it. Fate of the Ark of the Covenant. In 587 BC, King Nebuchadnezzar II's Babylonian army stormed Jerusalem, ravaging the city and reducing the first temple to ruins. This sacred temple housed the Ark of the Covenant, a revered chest said to contain the stone tablets inscribed with the Ten Commandments. What became of the Ark remains one of history's most tantalizing mysteries. Some ancient accounts suggest that the Babylonians seized the Ark and took it back to Babylon. Others hint it was hidden away by priests before the invaders breached the city. There's also the grim possibility that the Ark was destroyed during the siege. Over the centuries, numerous tales have emerged, each adding a layer of intrigue to the Ark's fate. Were the Hanging Gardens of Babylon real? Legend has it that in the heart of ancient Babylon, in modern-day Iraq, there existed a marvel like no other, the Hanging Gardens. Supposedly crafted by King Nebuchadnezzar II between 605 and 562 BC, these gardens were so breathtaking that ancient writers dubbed them a wonder of the world. Philo of Byzantium, writing around 250 BC, described them as a miraculous sight where plants seemed to float above the ground, their roots anchored in terraces rather than the earth below. But here's the twist. Archaeologists digging through Babylon's ruins have yet to uncover any trace of such gardens. This has sparked a burning question. Did the Hanging Gardens ever exist? In 2013, Oxford researcher Stephanie Daly proposed a daring theory in her book. Perhaps these legendary gardens weren't in Babylon at all, but in the Assyrian city of Nineveh. Unfortunately, both Babylon and Nineveh have been ravaged by war and looting over the past decades, making it increasingly unlikely that this ancient mystery will ever be fully unraveled. What happened to the Mary Celeste? Fast forward to December 5, 1872. The British ship Dei Gracia came across a ghostly sight. The Mary Celeste, adrift and abandoned roughly 400 miles east of the Azores. A lifeboat was gone, but the ship itself was undamaged, with no signs of a struggle. The 10 passengers and crew had vanished without a trace, leaving behind a riddle that has baffled historians ever since. Theories abound. Some suggest that a leak from the ship's cargo of alcohol might have terrified the crew into thinking an explosion was imminent, prompting them to flee. Others speculate that a waterspout A powerful sea tornado might have spooked them into abandoning ship. Despite endless speculation, the fate of the Mary Celeste's crew remains one of maritime history's most enduring mysteries, likely to remain unsolved forever. Where is Captain Kidd's treasure hidden? Captain William Kidd, a name that still stirs the imagination of treasure hunters and history buffs alike. Once a Scottish privateer with a mission from the British government to capture pirates, Kidd's fate took a dramatic turn, landing him on the gallows for piracy in 1701. Kidd's career was a whirlwind of high seas adventure filled with the capture and plunder of numerous ships. But his downfall came with the seizure of the Quedagh Merchant, a ship under the command of an English captain, but sailing with French passes and laden with treasures belonging to the Mughal emperor's court. This audacious act branded Kidd a pirate in the eyes of the British, transforming him from a commissioned privateer into a hunted man. Desperate to clear his name, Kidd sailed to New York, leaving the ill-fated Quedagh Merchant behind. The ship's wreck was eventually discovered in 2007, but the true prize, Kidd's rumored treasure, remains elusive. In a bid to save his life, Kidd claimed to have buried a fortune worth 100,000 British pounds, equivalent to a staggering $20 million today. He offered to trade this secret for his life, but the British government rejected his offer, and Kidd met a grim end. He was hanged, his body coated in pitch and displayed in an iron cage over the River Thames as a warning to other would-be pirates. Where is Cleopatra's tomb? Cleopatra VII and her legendary lover Mark Antony were said to be entombed together after their tragic deaths in 30 BC ancient accounts, yet the exact location of this magnificent tomb remains one of history's great mysteries. In 2010, Egypt's former antiquities minister, Zahi Hawass, led an ambitious excavation at Taposiris Magna, near Alexandria, leaving archaeologists and history enthusiasts in suspense. Some experts even speculate that if the tomb does survive, it might be so plundered and degraded that identifying it would be nearly impossible. What happened to the vanished colonists at Roanoke? On July 22, 1587, John White landed on Roanoke Island with 120 settlers, hoping to establish a new colony. A few months later, he set sail back to England to gather essential supplies, leaving the colonists behind. When White finally returned 3 years later, he was met with an eerie silence. Every single colonist had vanished without a trace. The only hint left behind was the word Croatoan carved into a palisade and CRO etched on a tree. White believed the colonists had moved to Croatoan Island, now known as Hatteras Island. However, a fierce storm thwarted his attempts to search the island, and he never managed to fund another expedition. Speculation about their fate runs wild. Some suggest Chief Powhatan's tribe may have killed them, though no archaeological evidence supports this. Others theorize that Spanish forces attacked, or that the settlers succumbed to disease or starvation. To this day, the mystery of the lost Roanoke colonists remains one of America's greatest historical enigmas. Who was Jack the Ripper? In 1888, a shadowy figure known as Jack the Ripper terrorized London's Whitechapel district, brutally murdering at least 5 women and mutilating their bodies. The killer sent a series of taunting letters to the police, coining the infamous name Jack the Ripper. Whether these letters were genuinely from the Ripper or the work of pranksters is still debated. Despite extensive investigations, the Ripper was never caught, and the case grew colder with each passing year. Over time, countless suspects have been proposed. In his 2012 book, Jack the Ripper, The Hand of a Woman, John Morris controversially suggested that a woman named Lizzie Williams was the murderer. However, many Ripperologists dismiss this theory. The true identity of Jack the Ripper, cloaked in blood and shadow, continues to elude us, likely destined to remain one of history's most chilling unsolved mysteries. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon for daily updates on our latest content. Thanks for tuning in.